Good morning. Hope you're doing well. This is the fourth devotional that I've done for our church during this series. And this time I didn't have any particular subject in mind. I just went with whatever I was reading, suggestions from people that have sent me articles, and anything that kind of bubble up uh, during the week. So I just finished a novel based on the Holocaust and the people in concentration camps. And I also was reading an article about a POW in the Vietnam War. And out of those two, there was a topic that very much came to the front, and that's the topic of resiliency. Um, it's a topic that is being studied a lot in children, especially children that have experienced trauma. Why do children with the same kind of trauma, some do better than others? So I'm going to be talking about Admiral James Stockdale. That was the highest ranking officer in the infamous Hanoi Hilton, and he was a prisoner of war for 8 years. And also talking about a writer, Corey Ten Boom. You may have read some of her books. I remember reading her book, The Hiding Place, maybe 50 years ago. She was a Dutch Christian, and her family was helping with Jews and hiding them in their home so they would avoid going to concentration camps. In the end, their family also ended up in concentration camp, but she survived. So let me start with Admiral Stockdale. When he was interviewed after leaving the POW and in years later, he was asked, where were the people that survived? Why did you survive this ordeal? And he said, well, I can tell you the people that did not survive, and they were the optimists, which is kind of a surprising answer, isn't it? He said the optimists were those that were always counting on the short term solution. By Christmas, we'll be out of here, and Christmas came and went. Next Easter, and it never happened. No, next Thanksgiving, we'll be home. And after year of those kinds of optimism, he said, I think they died out of broken hearts. So his approach later on, as he became a famous professor in business and the survival in the business world, there was actually something named the Stockdale paradox that was named after him. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but basically it is that it's the existence of opposing but equally true things at once. So, this is what he said. In order to survive, whether was at the POW camp, whether it's any kind of business related emergency, or in our own lives, I think it applies. He said, you must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. Let me say that again. You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. I know these are difficult times, and let me just say that I am not comparing or equating these horrendous things of the Holocaust or prisoners of war with what's going on today. But we have all experienced difficult times. Right now, a lot of us are experiencing difficulties in our families, with our children, with our grandchildren. I know some of you are facing unemployment, are facing problems with your own business. So this tells us the resiliency is that we never ever lose hope that we will get out of this, that there will be a solution. But at the same time, we have to do every single day what we need to do to survive. If you ever read any of the Stephen Covey 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, you might remember that the number 2 habit is begin with the end in mind. He used a lot of hand signals. So he says, you begin with the end in mind. You do today what you need to do to survive because you keep the hope. You keep that faith that things will work out at the end. It brings us to the story of Corey, and one of her famous quotes is this: "Never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God." Never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God. This is the good news for us today because we do follow a known God. A known God that has always been with us, that was with the Jewish people as they left Egypt, that was with Jesus as he was in this world, that was with the disciples as Jesus was crucified, and they just saw nothing but despair and anxiety and fear in the future. We know this God. So we are not losing track that we will prevail. We do what we have to do today to survive, but we are never afraid to trust an uncertain future, an unknown future, because we have a known God. I wish you blessings, and I wish you that the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord shine his face upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.